Hello and welcome to the Knit Shift episode 12. My name is Laura and today is Friday, June 12th, 2015. I'm joined today by my canine co-host Gracie. Let me slide the camera around. Grace, can you say hi? No. Sorry for the motion. We are sitting on an oversized chair in my living room, and she decided she had to be up here with me even though the chair is covered with knitting and stuff to show you guys. I'm drinking Salada tea today, which is the tea I grew up drinking that my mom drank and I drink when I feel like I want a taste of home. It's the big box you get at the grocery store. They don't sell it in my part of Virginia, so my mom gave me this from, I don't know that they sell it in Ohio where she lives either, but she can buy it in Pittsburgh where we're from, so I think she gave it to me from there. Delightful. I even brought the box to show you. Ta-da! My puppy is, she's checking out the tea. Oh, maybe I would like to drink some tea. Why didn't you make me a cup? So she's curled up beside me. So hello, welcome. This is a knitting podcast if you're new here. Thanks for joining me today. Thank you to people who are coming back. I know we all have 24 hours in a day, so I appreciate you spending a little bit of your time with me. Again, I'm Laura. There are show notes available at theknitshift.com. I'm on Instagram as Laura Mahalski. And I am on Ravelry as Yarn Stormer, and we have a Ravelry group. Oh, dog's coming over. Hi. You have great timing, as always. You're just going to sit here and stare at me, aren't you? All right, this will be awkward. So, yes, show notes on theknitshift.com. This podcast is available on YouTube and iTunes, and Instagram, I said Ravelry, I'm Yarnstormer, and we have a Ravelry group for the podcast called The Knit Shift. And we have a lot of chatter going on right now because there is a knit along, which I will tell you more about later. So what do I have for you today? I have a finished object, which you can see right here. I have something fun for you if you have kids. I'm sorry about the dog distraction. Yes, I never pet you. I know. I have something fun for you if you have children, and I wanted to share prizes for the knit along. So a lot of good stuff going on this week. So it's been a pretty good week around here. After I filmed last week, I went and had lunch with an Instagram friend / podcast viewer, and I didn't ask her if I could name her by name, so I won't. But we had a great lunch at a Panera, and we knit together. And then Saturday morning, I met up with two of my oldest knitting friends around here, Tiffany and Lennis. And I didn't ask them if I could use their names, so sorry guys if you see this, but I think you won't end our friendship over it. But we met up at a Starbucks, and we brought our knitting, and it had been a few months since I had seen them, so it's always good to catch up with friends. I never see them as much as I would like to. So we hung out at Starbucks for a couple hours and knit, and then Lennis mentioned that she was looking for some sort of gradient kit. She had seen one on Skein Cocaine on Instagram and really wanted to get one. And I had just been to our local yarn store recently, and I said, you could probably, they had a ton of gradients, if you wanted to go check it out. And we were like, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Can we go to the yarn store right now? Turn our knit night into a trip to the yarn store? And we did. So we drove over to the yarn shop, it's always nice to take an impromptu trip to the yarn store, And it was humming because it was a Saturday morning, and Lennis found the exact gradient kit she wanted. I didn't even know they carried the one she wanted, but they did, and the color she wanted too, which was perfect. So it all worked out great. I bought some yarn to use as a prize for the knit along, which I will tell you about later, and another thing to use as a prize. So it was a fun little trip. All three of us bought a little something, so it was a fun day. And it's been a pretty busy week, work-wise, kind of exhausting. I'm really pooped today, so I'm hoping the tea peps me up. I just haven't been sleeping well, so I'm hoping today won't be a rest day, but tomorrow should be. I'm going to my cousin's high school graduation party tonight, which is crazy to think about because I remember when he was a baby, and now he's a grown-up. And then after that, I'm meeting up with some coworkers for a drink in downtown Norfolk, where I live. I live in Norfolk, Virginia. So that'll be fun. I just really need to rally and find some energy to not be a total, quiet person all night, which is my usual tendency because I'm pretty quiet. And that's mainly what's been going on around here this week. So I think we should get right to the knitting. Gracie has managed to lie down on my lap here, so hopefully she'll stay put for the rest of the episode. So I'm really excited to share this finished object with you guys. This is something you've seen before many weeks. This is the Serena Shadow Shawl by Antonia Shankland, and it blocked out nicely. You can kind of see my shadow through. I was hoping to really kind of open up the stitches quite a bit. And I knit this from 2 colors. This is a free pattern on Ravelry. It calls for DK weight on size 4 needles, but I used sock yarn, and I knit it on bigger needles to really open up the lace. And it's very simple. You can see it's stockinette alternated with garter stitch. That's it. It's super simple. This would be a great first shawl project for anyone. Even if you've only knit one thing in your life before, you could totally make this. So I knit this out of 2 types of yarn. The green is Copper Corgi Savannah. Dropping my microphone. Having my lap full with the dog is making it a little tricky. The green is Copper Corgi Dye Works Savannah Sock in the colorway Peacock. It's a 100% merino wool. And I have the leftovers here. It's a beautiful, that's a pretty good color. It's a beautiful teal blue green. And, it's a pretty loose cake. I could have gone longer, but the rows were taking so long, I just decided I wanted to be done with it. And the melon color is Fleece Artist BFL Sock in a color that has no name. And I had a bit more of this left over. This is a BFL nylon mix, and it only had 365 yards, I believe. So not as much as the Copper Corgi, but I just really loved how these 2 look together. I kind of wish it were a project with wider stripes because I'm afraid the colors get a little lost, but I don't know, maybe not. I'm probably overthinking it. But it's got this nice garter edging, and I can wrap it around myself very nicely. Tuck the tails under. I kind of like wearing, it's such a big triangle, so I kind of almost like when it can kind of go over a shoulder in a way. So, yeah. Gracie can wear it. I'll put it on her for the rest of the episode. It's bound to get covered in dog hair anyway around here. There. Don't you look lovely, Grace? So, what does that bring me to? That brings me to works in progress, and I have 2 things to show you. The first is a sock that, oh, yes, hi, are you going to help me? I'm really sorry about the dog distraction. Some people say they really like seeing her, so hopefully this is okay. Oh, there she goes. Microphone, hi, podcasting in action. Oh, you're going to sit there now. Great. This is a sock I've had on the needles a few weeks. Last time you saw it, it was right about here. So I've made quite a bit of progress this week. This is Online Super Sock. I think it's Online Super Sock 100 Walking Color is the line of their yarn. This is I bought on, I believe on littleknits.com, which has a great selection of discount sock yarn. And I bought this in several colorways. And I really like this. It's got sage greens and beige and nice little speckled white and sage. And I'm using the peach actually from the shawl I just showed you for the heel because I wanted to preserve the stripes going up the leg. So what I did was I cast on, I believe, 32 stitches with Judy's Magic Cast On, so 16 per needle, top and bottom. I increased quite a bit at first. I'll pull this off the form to show you. When I was at Maryland Sheep and Wool, I hung out with Amanda of Not a Podcast, and she had a really nice rounded toe that she used. And she said, you just do a lot of increases at first, and then you lessen them. So here's how I increased, I think, for 5 or 6 rounds straight, and then I went to every second or third round. I wanted it to have a nice big toe cup. These are not for me. My grandma turns 93 in less than a month. So I decided I've never knit her socks, so these are going to be for her. She wears a lot of she looks really pretty in the green, in this kind of green and this peach. She wears a lot of blouses, I think, in like peachy colors and green. So I figure she deserves socks now more than ever. So they'll be for her. So they're kind of under a deadline, which it's not like it's a week away. I think having 3 or 4 weeks to finish these, that's a deadline I can live up to. So I'm knitting these on my Chai Goo. I think they're 1.5s. Yes, 1.5, which is a 2.5 millimeter. This has become my new standard size. I used to knit on a US 2, which was, I think, a 2.75 or a 3 millimeter needle, but I've had to go down in time, and I think I'll eventually end up with a US 1. So I like these quite a bit. The join is good. They're really nice and pointy. And they're really great for magic loop. The cord has very little memory to it. So continuing up the leg, I knit a Fish Lips Kiss heel, which is a really fast and easy heel. And it hugs your foot much like a commercial sock if you're not familiar. It's $1 for this pattern on Ravelry, and I highly recommend it. It's a little overwhelming because it has something like 25 pages, but you only need about 2 of them. So don't be afraid if you download the pattern. So I started the heel yesterday and finished it late last night, and it was to and from. I went out to lunch with my boyfriend, and so I knit part of the heel on the way to lunch, on the way home, a little bit before work, and then after work at midnight, 12:30 when I got home. So it's a very fast heel as opposed to a gusset and heel flap that seemed to take a lot more time. So that's one thing on the needles right now. Let me pull out the other thing. Are you doing okay? Do you have anything to add? I hope you don't think I'm crazy that I'm talking to my dog while I podcast. This is Gracie, if I didn't say her name already. She's a 9-year-old Cocker Spaniel. She'll be 10 next month. I can't even believe it. She's a very sweet girl, and she's very loyal to me. So I have a baby sweater to show you, and I'm knitting this as part of a baby knit along that the group is doing right now, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. So last time I was just on the yoke of this cardigan, and now I have separated the sleeves, as you can see here, and I'm onto the body, which is just plain stockinette. This pattern is called Corrigan, which I'll have up on the screen if all goes to plan. And it's got these sweet, I'll turn it around so you can see the back. It has these sweet little cables on the yoke that go from wide down to skinny. And I love this yarn so much. I love the yarn with the pattern. I was a little afraid it would be too much with the speckling. You know, I thought the pattern might get lost, but I don't think it does at all. This is Lammy Toes Moon Pie Merino, which is, I believe, a 75-25 or 80-20 merino nylon. And it's an Etsy shop dyed by Amanda of Not a Podcast. She has beautiful speckled yarns. I highly recommend you check it out. I had to frog the start of this several times because I was a doofus and kept messing up my counting skills. And the yarn held up wonderfully after being frogged a couple times. You can barely tell on the edging that I had to frog it. So, I love this yarn. This pattern is very simple. It's a paid-for pattern. I believe it's $5 or like €4, which it was like $4.50 American. I can't remember. And I'm going to mess up the designer's name, so I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. It's a French name. So I'm knitting this for one of my dear friends from college who is having a baby in October. And I'm taking the train to New York City to see her at the end of July. Pardon me. So that's my deadline, end of July, is to finish this. But I have the body and the sleeves, so famous last words, that should not take me too long. I'm going to try and focus on the socks for my grandma and then finish this. So I'm on to the plain old stockinette body now, so it shouldn't be too bad. My progress on this week was interrupted because my needle broke in the middle of a row, no less, which was frustrating as heck. I saved it to show you guys what happened. I think this is it's a 60-inch cable, so I'm almost glad that this was the one that broke, because this cable is ridiculously long. What happened was this is a Chaigu, the ones I love, and the needle just came off of the cord. It just totally frayed. I think it was just so much back and forth that it just So, I didn't return it or anything. I've had this needle for a while. I don't remember where I bought it. I just went to a yarn store that's a little bit closer to me than the one I usually go to. It's actually, I mean, honestly, I could walk to it if I wanted to. So, it's that close. So I just bought the same exact needle, but a shorter cable. So it's on, I believe this is a 32-inch cable, so much more manageable. And it's being knit on a size 3, which is a 3.25 millimeter. So yeah, Chaigu, they're my faves, even with this broken needle. What else do I have to talk about here? Oh, the baby knit along. So the baby knit along, there's no real name to it, is going on June 1st through August 31st. 3 months. And you guys are already submitting lots of awesome objects to the thread. They're really lovely. In fact, I'll show them off here in a minute. But the general rules are feel free to knit baby things or things for children and submit them to the finished object thread, and I will draw a number and send out a prize or two, depending on how many entries we get. And the only thing that doesn't really count are baby socks, because babies' feet are so tiny. But if it's an especially intricate pair of booties or something, I will give it. I'll think about it. But I think we have already 8 or 9 objects in the thread. A lot of them are hats, and they're so sweet. Let me pull it up on my iPad here. So we have a lot of scrappy hats. DG White posted this beautiful little scrappy hat. Oops. Note to self, don't hit the lock screen because it'll close it up. And then Knitting Mary B posted this adorable little sweater and booty set. Am I showing this right? Yes, there we go. And then Hey Jen Ray, I love this little hat. I think this pattern is called Aviatrix. I cannot remember. But isn't that just the cutest, the little chin strap? And it's pretty speckled yarn. And then DG White again came through with a little sleep sack for a newborn baby. How sweet. I have never really seen those before, but I watch a Homespun House hosted by Molly, and she knit her baby girl a sleep sack. And I think that's really smart. That's really cool. And then Tokyo City Girl, who is Jacqueline, knit 2 hats with pom-poms. And I just love those pom-poms. That is a robust pom-pom if I've ever seen one. And there's her other hat. And then Crafty JT 0503 posted this beautiful little baby bonnet. I believe it's like a crochet. It almost looks like crocheted granny square style. It's really sweet. And just posted a little while ago, like minutes ago, was this awesome camo baby sweater by Crochet Knit 2, who is knitting it for her second grandbaby. And I like what she said, that they don't know if it's a boy or a girl yet, but if it's for a girl, she'll add a little pink bow. I love the little camo. I think that's so cute. So Awesome work, you guys. I love seeing all the baby knits. I have to finish the sweater, and I have twin boys coming in my family very soon. My cousin is having twin boys in November, so I'm going to knit them something even though they live in Florida. And then another friend is expecting a baby in November. They're finding out the sex, but I don't know that they've found out yet. So I have some more baby knits to knock out this summer as well. So keep them coming. And I have the prizes so far to show you guys, what I bought at my local yarn store. So I bought a needle keeper first and foremost. I showed this a few weeks ago. This is like basically a metal tube, and it has a little silicone slit at the end. There, you can kind of see it there. And you stick your needles in here, and then it keeps them. It keeps your needles from falling out of a project. Gracie is amazed. I know, right? It's ingenious. It's so simple. So it's really neat, and my yarn store has been selling them like hotcakes, and the back says, "Never worry about damaging your circulars again. Safe to shove into your knitting bag, you're ready to move on. Holds up to 2 US 9 needles." And it comes in 10 colors, but they really only had a couple of them left, so I had to get basic black. So, yeah, so that's one prize. And I bought my mom one. I bought my own, and I showed it to my mom when I saw her over Memorial Day, and I had briefly thought, I wonder if Mom would like one of these. And then she saw it in person and was like, oh my god. So I had to rush back and get her one. So this is now the third needle keeper I've bought at my yarn store. And then for yarn, hello beautiful. This is Malabrigo Mechita. It is 100% merino superwash. It is 420 yards of a single ply fingering weight yarn. This would make a lovely shawl. And the colorway is Arequita. Arequita. I don't speak Spanish super well. And it's greens. It's these lovely mucky greens, forest greens, Kelly greens, and a little bit of purpley blue right here, and a beautiful bright blue. I just think this is going to look stunning. I think this is my favorite part, this foresty green. So this will be a prize for someone in the baby knits thread. So fun stuff. Keep those projects coming. So that's it for the knit along news. And I'm knocking over my microphone again. Let's see. And that brings me to a new segment I'm just calling Future Knits. I've kind of done this after my works in progress before, so why not make it official and call it Future Knits? Now that I finished this Serena Shadow shawl, I am dying to cast on another shawl. I have a good bit of yarn in my stash that would work for a shawl, but the thing that is calling out to me is to knit another pie shawl. I knit a small pie shawl with about 700 yards of fingering weight yarn, but I really want to get 1,500 yards plus and knit a huge pie shawl. Huge. So that would require buying yarn, which I'm trying not to do, but we'll see if the urge to knit the pie shawl is still there in another week. I might pull the trigger and buy some yarn. When I bought the replacement needles at my local shop, which is called Ba Sheep, if you are ever in Norfolk, Virginia, definitely check it out. It's stuffed to the gills with yarn these days. And the shop owner, Roz, is really sweet. So please check it out. She had a cascade yarn that I had never seen before called Forest Hills. And it was a 51% silk, 49% merino, fingering weight, very thin fingering weight, 798 yards per skein. So it's very generous yardage at a good price, and it's super silky, and I think it would make a fantastic, two balls of it would make a pie shawl. So we'll see. I'm keeping that going in the back of my brain. So that's a possible future knit for me. We'll see if I feel the same next week. And that brings me to Yarms, which is a segment about stash enhancement, and I just call it Yarms because I'm weird. So that's that. We have one skein of yarn to show for the Yarms today. It is Sunrise Fiber Company, and it's the Indelible Sock, which is a 75-25 merino nylon, and it's 463 yards, and the colorway is Holy Festival. And this has so much in it. This has bright greens and fuchsia and yellows and pale blues with a little speckling and turquoise. I can't wait to see how this works up. I think this is going to make a great pair of socks. I bought this because I was on Instagram, which is my great downfall in life. And I forget who runs Sunrise. Ren. Her name is Ren. Ren runs Sunrise and had posted that they were having a 30% off sale and to use a certain code. And I thought, well, heck, I'll go see what they have in stock. So I bought this, and I really like it. It's super soft. And that's it for the yarms. And that just brings me to odds and ends. So I have two fun things to share with you this week. One is my lipstick, and the other is a podcast of the week. So for lipstick, today I am wearing a CoverGirl Lip Perfection Jumbo Gloss Balm. This, I don't know the color. It's 4281, which is not a very exciting name. But it's like a chubby balm stick. My microphone keeps falling over, thanks to Gracie. It's a chubby balm stick. This is a very neutral color. And it barely looks like I have anything on at all. Just a nice shimmery lip balm, basically. And this is very similar to, while I was pulling this out of the drawer, I realized it's very similar both in tube appearance and consistency to a Clinique Chubby Stick, which is something I shared on the podcast a few weeks ago. They look very similar. I don't know how similar the formulas are, but there you have it. They're pretty similar looking. But again, it's CoverGirl Lip Perfection Jumbo Gloss Balm. I like it a lot. And it's barely showing up on my mug of tea at all, which is nice. And that brings me to my last odd and or end for you, and that is an awesome new YouTube discovery. It has nothing to do with knitting, which is a shock, I know. I have a friend who is a former coworker who now works in Washington, D.C. And she was my running buddy here in Norfolk and got me into running half marathons and that kind of stuff. And she posted this on Facebook, so that's how I learned about it. Her sister is a Broadway actress. Her sister's name is Stephanie D'Abruzzo, and she's been nominated for a Tony. She's super talented. She's a puppeteer for the Henson Company. And Stephanie decided to make a stop-motion animation web series about two monkeys named Chimpy and Pansy. And the theme song is so catchy. I haven't watched it in 5 days, but it's still in my head. I could still sing it. So she knows what she's doing because it's a very catchy little theme. And the first episode, it's like a minute or two long, including the credits, which are almost as long as the episode, which is not a slight. It's really fun to watch, and whether you're an adult or a kid, I think you'll enjoy it. And I think she is posting new episodes Mondays and Fridays, so there should be a new episode out today. So I'm kind of excited to see it. Even though I'm not a little kid, I appreciate the effort that goes into making a stop-motion picture. If you've ever seen The Nightmare Before Christmas or Coraline, both of those are stop-motion movies, and it's amazing the effort that goes into full-length movies, let alone, a 1 minute long web series. So check it out. And I believe that brings me to the end of the episode, which is right on the time point that I was aiming for. So thank you for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. And I do feel peppier than when I started this episode. So hopefully I'll have enough energy to get through the rest of my day. So again, thanks for spending some time with me. It was lovely to chat with you as always, and have a great week. Have a great weekend. I hope you get to have lots of fun knitting time, and I'll see you next week. Bye!